Okay, this is going to be a video, and it's going to be a video mainly just about Excel stuff and a little bit of philosophy on how you can use the same principles we use for all sorts of models for a different kind of model, and it'll just be a little bit of working capital accounts receivable assets with bank where we fund the working capital with bankers' acceptances. It won't be all perfectly precise, and we'll use the generic macros. And if we use the generic macros, then we'll go into this file. So here's the situation. This is in Malaysia, and I have to say something that the culture here and the niceness of people is so refreshing for me. I can't tell you. So this company has some sales they make, and this is per day, and let's say they can go from this to that. Now the average here, let's make the average here. Let's make it 3,000. 4,000 is the high, and 2,000, whoops, is the low. So we're going to have an option, and let's put another variable, and let's say we either want to include random or not. And let's put a flag, and let's put true or false. So now I should explain what we're going to do. We're going to look at these sales. They're going to take 120 days to collect. I think that's a lot. What is that? 4 months or something? 3 times 4 is 12. Yeah, 30. Okay, that's a long time. We could even put a random variable around that. And I am going to show you how to add some seasonality. I just made this up. This is all not real. And then here's the second situation. There are all sorts of, for 1 month, there can be all sorts of different bank loans, okay? And the general question is going to be, how do we put this together? And there's going to be a few lookup things, maybe an offset. Um, uh, uh, um, okay, excuse me, and an index. And then this is just simple, not simple, but the stuff, kind of Excel stuff. And then we'll make a little financial model, but we'll make our financial model, instead of what we do normally, we'll make it day by day by day. And we'll just work through some of the days, and then we'll accumulate it to monthly. And then when we add our loan example, I've got a little story. If we want to understand how one of these bankers' acceptance loans work, my suggestion is to work through one single one of them. So, okay, so that's that. And the reason I'm doing this is just because I didn't finish this in a class, and I want to make sure we kind of see how it works. Now, if you use the generic macros first, if you implement it, doesn't go automatically to it. And let's say our title, let's leave that blue. Oh, I think that's okay. So you can implement initialize, and if you would change the title to something else, I don't know what kind of color you want, you'd copy this. Let's change it to red. I don't know why. I'm just going to copy it here, Control V, and I'm going to press implement. And then my input color has a little brown and blue, because that's what people seem to be proud of if they take some Wall Street training class or something like that. Okay, and then you just go, and since we've got the title column in B, we just click on our little generic macro thing. Okay. Okay, I was nervous. Okay, and then so now we see what's an input, of course, and I say of course, but what's a calculation. Okay, and then now let's go and see how I implemented a couple of these things. So then maybe what I should have started with a start period, and I'm going to make it 1/1/2022, and then Shift Control 3 always, and then this is what drives me nuts. I don't give a crap right now. That's not official because then an auditor would scream at you. So we're just increasing it for a day. And then down here, because we're going to get monthly data and we're going to summarize this by month, we'll put the EO month in, but this is just incremented by 1 day. Not a big deal. And then let's say I want to include this seasonal factor. We need to first put the month here. You don't have to. Now the more I see it, I saw some more monster models. The monster models are taking over. It's horrible. I need to make a video on my response to monster models. I really do. So we have, obviously January, and then we go to, and then looks like I don't have the calculation on. I suggest, this is just kind of Excel stuff, that you keep it on automatic accept data tables. Okay, and then let's put our seasonal now. Oops. Okay, and let's put that as a percent. And you know what I'm going to do is make a couple of different videos today. And this is going against every kind of to make a bunch of videos at the same time is apparently not what you're supposed to do or something. Oh God. So let's use the index, and my position is, unfortunately, I'm going to use the offset function once here, but my position is almost everything we're going to do can be accomplished with the index function or the lookup. An index is a lot, you don't really need it much anymore. We could have put 1 and 2 here and used the lookup too, just as easily. Should I do that? Why not? So maybe I should start saying only use the lookup. Okay, so in this case we'd say look up this one and look it from these two and press F4, and then look it from these two, and we'll either take a flat one if it's 1, Shift Control P. Remember, that's a simple little, oops, what did I do? Oh, we gotta F4 that. See, just like the index. Excuse me. I never do that. Okay, and then I taught people as usual to, if we want to select this area, then we can go to the home key. But when you do that, you gotta kind of go here, and we're going to make a conditional formatting, and we're going to go to home, and we're going to go to conditional formatting, and we always use those little things, and you always go down to use a formula. You say, this is fixed, so that's fine, and then you put an equal sign, and you go up to this one. It's a little bit tricky. Maybe there's a better way to do it. I don't know, but we don't want to hold the 16. We want to let the rows float, but we want to hold that, and then we can go to format and go to fill and make some nice little color. Okay, so that's a very basic thing to do. Okay, and then now we're going to put these loans in, these specific loans with different dates, in just a minute. But before we do that, do you see me having this little microphone on me? I don't know. Okay, before we do that, let's um, uh, uh, let's make sure we get some of the basics done. So now, I suppose you no. Let's just put equal lookup again, and I've been saying this too much, but why you wouldn't use the whole line when you can? If I call them old wives' tales, and of course, what did I do? I put a that was not on purpose, that was just I put a comma point instead of a comma. Shift Control P and Shift Control R. So now it's which one are we using? We're using the flat one. If we put number 2, then we would put index in. And now, if you do this in the generic macros, I press Shift Control V for Victor to make sure we test something and make sure that they're equal to 100%. Shift Control V, Shift Control V. Okay, my friend from South Africa suggested that, and it was fantastic. And here's the deal: don't be afraid to go all the way out to the end. Test it. You can test it. What I do is make a gigantic file with about 20,000 lines or something, and put the going to the end versus not going to end. See if it slows it down, makes it bigger, or anything, and it doesn't. Don't believe the old wives' tales. Okay, now. So now we have a seasonal factor. I put a growth factor, but when we put a growth factor, we have to, instead of dividing it by 365, that's annual growth, we raise it to the power. That should have been, this one should have been in the, of course, in this one. So I'm going to put here annual growth in sales. Okay, and let's put a percent, whoops, and let's put our 5% here. Okay, but that's, of course, a whole lot different than a daily percent growth in sales. And again, I'm repeating, but you need to raise it to the power. Okay, and then when we do our sales collection, we can, up here, maybe we put, when we do a little random thing, let's put apply, what did we put? Random. And maybe we want to do that or not, and let's put a flag, and let's get that again from the input sheet. So this, when I go through kind of an Excel thing and I start moaning and complaining about these monster models, we do this. So if it's random, then we'll use an if statement. If this is true and it's random, then we'll take the high case, and it otherwise we'll just take whatever we have and just assume the sales are the same every day if it's random like this. Now, I would even argue against doing that a little bit. If it's true, then we'll take the low case. Otherwise, we'll go and take this one. The reason, and ran between, what did I do wrong now? Okay. Okay, we got to take this one and this one. Okay. And that's a new one. Okay, you have to go from the smallest to the largest. That makes sense. Okay, how can we do it the other way? And then we'll do one more thing, and we'll use the offset function. And this, I don't know how to do it without using the offset function. We want to go forward 120 days. And to go forward 120 days, let's do it. First of all, when we collect it, we'll take this one, and we're collecting it from 100 days ago. So first, look at this one. I put 0 in to keep it on the same row. You could put just a comma, fine. And then you put a minus on this one, and so we're going to collect it 120 days ago. And that's it. No big deal. But when you do that, why did that not? Just a minute. And then what am I doing? I meant to say offset. Ooh, I'm losing it. I really am. Comma 0, comma minus this one. Okay. We get a reference, and we should get a reference, so we can only do this when we have a little period counter, and I forgot to say that we're doing a period counter when this thing is greater than, how about, or equal to that. Then we can start our calculation, but we cannot do that before. So what's going to happen if you do something like this, you'd have to put some historic numbers, and of course, I forgot to press the F4 here. Gosh, I'm really losing it. Now, if you just have this, since I've got the generic macros in, you just press Shift-Control-R, and we'll have some falses. Okay, and then if we want to compute our accounts receivable balance, we add our sales to that, put our collections in, and put a little no wonder. Oh my gosh. Plus this, minus this. Okay. There was an error in there on purpose. And we can kind of see what happens with our Shift-Control-E maybe to see what happens to our accounts receivable. Now, if we do this, it would be silly to look before we had to put kind of 120 days in to get it started. I'm going to press Shift, alternate left arrow. I had some things. And now we could, well, I'm going to leave it for now, but we could go over to this 120 and just not start until there. Right now, let's make sure that we've got this formatted okay. Shift-Control-W, I hope. Why did that? Okay, well, I'm going to Shift-Control-right arrow and then Control space bar. And then that's mysterious. I guess there was a little different formatting on the beginning to the end. And if we want to, let's just go down and make a graph of this. And so maybe down here we'll put graphs. And I'll put up here, we're just going to put the date. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put if. I'm not going to make a graph of that initial part. So I'm going to put if this is true. That's the way we read it. We take the date. Otherwise, we put NA and open and close the bracket. That's the date. Shift-Control-R worked. And we don't put something on the date, and then we put receivables. Okay, and then we just go forward. You could put an NA here, but you don't really need to. And then we put our closing balance, and what will happen, it won't make a graph until there. And then you press Shift-Control-right arrow twice and just press F11. And it didn't work very good. I'm glad it didn't work because we didn't format this as a date. Alt-EL to take that away. So this is maybe almost a video about kind of the shortcuts. I can't get my words out. Okay, so there's our little accounts receivable. They're kind of going up and down and they stabilize. And if we put a different date in, we can do that. And then now what we can do is kind of, I was going to try to relate these receivables to the borrowing, but we'll just discuss how that borrowing works. for a minute. So let's put our receivables graph. Okay, and I'm gonna let's throw that to the end because who cares about it really? Okay, now and I just did a year of data. Now if we then so here let's just make this monthly. Now here's the most important philosophical point. Here's the philosophical point. I'm trying to get a word out here. The philosophical point is that you start with a time period that's really small and aggregate things up. And then you can show people exactly what's happening. Okay? And we can show what would happen if we had a different collection period and whatever, all this kind of stuff. Okay? And then let's see. Let's go to the monthly. Now, okay, here. Why did I have this here? You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this all away. So how horrible is that? So instead of putting that, we put date. Okay, and let's, for a monthly, I think I had 2 years of data actually. So Alt EIS, tab 24, okay? And then below there, let's put the first month, but then we put the how about, well, I don't know why we wouldn't just start with the end of the month. So I'm going to put equal EO month. And if I'm a little fancy, I suppose I could go to the EO month of this and then put A0. Okay, and Shift Control 3, and then we'll put EO month and go to this one and put a 1. Okay, Shift Control R. And then that's all we need. And if we want the sales, here's the next thing you do. You needed, this is why in that daily model, you needed that EO month here. And again, I'm just doing this really as a review for one person who was extremely nice and extremely sweet and had to listen to a bunch of stuff about circular references and about P90s and about how to make a model with a P50 when it's the investor, P90 when it's the other one. So that's why I'm making it. Turn the video off if you don't give a crap about a little bit of Excel. And then we use SUMIF. Okay, and then when you use SUMIF, you always, it's kind of backwards, unfortunately, to the lookup. Click on the entire thing, and if you don't like it, go to crap, whatever. And then let's go back to the daily model and get our sales. Okay, and this one we had some random ones, Shift Control R because we have it. And then we can also put our collection in, and let's put SUMIF again. You know, we could have locked some cells in and made it a little more quickly, but you go to the end of the month, you go up to this month end, month by month, and then you just go to the collection. Okay, so you can then really kind of mull it. It's really a pain to go the other way around, and if you have a monthly model or an annual model, go back and figure out the accounts receivable. And then now remember we had a starting problem, and each time you can see there's a little random variation. So we can add our sales here and then take our collections here and then get the opening balance plus this minus this. So there was a little, it seems that there was a little mistake in the other file. Why don't we do this? Control Alt C again. Control Alt C. Control Alt C. I can't. Come on. Okay, I'm gonna get mad. My computer has fell on the ground so many times the control key doesn't work anymore. That's the problem. Okay, it's not a problem with, oops, and then we didn't put the timing, and okay, that's it. Now, for me, one of the big deals about doing this, and I worked on this, is you put a green number when it comes from the different sheet. Okay, now once we do that, let's then start talking about these bankers' acceptance loans. And I had a really interesting experience. I've not used ChatGPT yet. Is that when it's okay, maybe the only person in the world who hasn't. Sorry about that. And we were just gonna work on one loan. The loans could have a different time period. The loans can have a different, so you issue the loans at various times. So we'll start in January of 23 and issue some of the loans, and then we'll see when they mature and come back. And here's my ChatGPT story. If you go through one loan, the amount of the loan is not the same as the repayment. Okay? And we pay on the loan, we pay a daily interest. Now, I made some of these little random in-betweens. And so this is the tenor in days. This is our maturity. So we just add that to the days. And I asked, I put one loan issue and then put some random in-betweens. And then there are some different interest rates. This time I used a little fancier thing with norm inverse. It doesn't matter. And then we can figure out the loan repayment. But before you start modeling, figure out how it works with one. Don't try to do it all at once. And when you do it with one, do the same thing. Go day by day. And so this is what we did with our little loan example. And I said, okay, what happens if we have to repay a loan of $3 million? Did I put it doesn't matter. And then we have 100 days. Okay, whoops. I really thought this is going to be a short video. I'm sorry. So let's put days and annual rate. So we would put a percent P dot A. And then I said, oh, okay, let's just take this divided by 365 because that's kind of how you pay interest. And then when we do this, we can say, okay, well, what's the original loan? If we're going to pay that, we can just take this original loan and divide it by 1 plus the daily rate raised to the power of how many days we have. Not a big deal. So that's our initial loan. And then we put a little flag. We put our date up here, and we put a little flag, and we make a little counter as usual. I started with 0, and we make a little counter, and we say, well, when this equals this thing, F4, then we're going to repay the loan, okay? And so we put our initial repayment in, and then whoops, and I'm going to put that as a minus. And then I cheated. Okay, so what? I cheated. Sorry about that. We're going to do it better in a minute. And then you repay that loan way over here at period 100. Okay? And then you could take an IRR on that loan. And the IRR should be this. It should be 6%. It should be what we put in. And it's not. And then we looked at ChatGPT, and it said basically do something like that. It didn't even have any discounting in it. It was a really horrible answer on how to fix this. And I said, why are we not getting this? And why, if we also put our loan balance, and we start with our loan draw here, and then we put an interest, and we accrue the interest. You don't pay the interest. You just let it accrue to the size of the loan, to the loan. When we get our repayment, the accrued interest at, here, oh, that can't be right. Just a minute. Why was that? Oh, I guess that might be right because we put a daily rate in, but it doesn't give us the annual interest rate, okay? The way to fix that is to use a formula and you put 1 plus the annual rate and you raise it to the power of 1 divided by 365 for the number of days in a year minus 1. That's how the X IRR and the X lookup work, and then you have it all works. Now, the idea here, the philosophical idea with modeling is get one loan right before you try to get all the rest of them in. And then we have to do a little simulation for the Treasury department. And when we do a simulation, so I'm going to put all these bank loans in, and let's see how quickly we can do it. Okay? And I'm going to take these out. And how can we do it? So what you think is, what I really don't want to do is type these in over and over again. So I'm going to make this loan number 1. And then when I do this, I'm going to find the day we issue. And I'm going to put lookup. And I'm going to go to this one. And then you can yell at me as much as you want, but I'm going to, I don't think I even need to press the F4 on this one. And then I'm going to put the issue date. And that's so fast. And then let's put the maturity date and use the lookup again. And we go to this one, but this time don't use any F4s and don't lock it. We'll see why. And then you just click on this one, and then we put the maturity date. And then we can put the amount of the debt issue with lookup again, and I think I'll stop with this. You put this date in, this number in, not a date, and you click on the whole line, and you click on the loan issue. Now, when I did this one, and then we get the accrued interest, and then we get the amount of loan we repay back. And this one, it's the other way around. We have a loan amount we issue. How much are we going to have to pay back? We're going to have to pay back. We got the daily interest, and we need to pay back the daily interest raised to the number of days. Why they didn't get that right on that chat GPT? You can check it. Maybe I didn't ask it. I didn't do it. Somebody else did. Okay, and now let's put our little flag in here and just go to this one and make a equal sign. Now, when you do this, press F4 a couple of times so you get that right. And then this one, F4 a few times there. And the reason you're going to do that, and then if you press Shift alternate F on mine, I have to fix that perhaps because Shift alternate F can work differently on different computers. And then you press Shift Control R, you can get a sum. Shift Control V for Victor. And oops, I did it wrong. Why did I not? Oh no, I can't even get the thing to work. Okay, nothing wrong with using the mouse there, is there? And then I suppose what you can do is Control D because it's going to be exactly the same. And you can Control D again to make sure it's the same, and you make sure it's all working. And then you just put an opening balance equal to the prior year closing balance, the prior day closing balance. I'm used to saying year. And that's number 30, I hope. Okay. And then the issue, again, press the F4 key a couple of times. And the reason for that is we're going to copy it down. And then you have the flag for the issue. And then you put the interest rate, and you put the F4 3 times here and multiply that by the opening balance. It's kind of boring. Sorry. Shift Control W. Let's keep it just without any decimals. And then the repayment, F4. Right. Times the opening balance. Of course, you don't use the F4s when you're looking in, you only use the F4s when you're looking at the left column. And then Shift Control W, and then we have our opening balance plus the amount of debt we have, plus the amount of accrued interest, minus the amount of repayment of the debt. Take these, Shift Control R, and if you want to look across, you can do that and find finally when it's gonna. And let me, well, okay, we've got to adjust our blah 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 blah. We've got here. Oh shoot, it didn't work. Shift Control W, right? Okay, we need it to like this. Uh-oh. Ooh, we got a num. Oh no. Okay. Should I? I'm gonna. Let's just get to there. Excuse me. This is kind of how you should check it. If you didn't do it day by day, I'm just babbling now. I don't see how you would have checked it. And then what did we do? Just a minute. And you can see I did something wrong on the interest. Okay, we got that. And then our first one was this. And did I not? I pressed the F4 times the opening balance. That does not look bad. Ooh, the repayment. I multiplied the repayment by the wrong flag. Okay, not a big deal. Just the kind of mistake I make just to illustrate how that worked. And then, if you want to test it out, just like any other debt, you can go down here and put test, and you can put lookup. And when we get to that very last date for the repayment, you can click on the entire day, and then you can click on the entire closing balance, and that's 0. Okay, that's a 0. So you've made sure it really goes down to 0, and that worked. Now, once you've done this for one debt issue, I'm going to delete that. Don't worry. Okay, and then we'll do it for all of the debt issues. And all you can do is, how about this? Let's copy the whole thing. Copy the whole thing, and then be really careful when you copy it. Just make it exactly 1, because we're going to have to make the same increment. And just make this equal to that plus 1, and then everything will work, except, of course, I needed to lock in this row here, okay? And if we locked it in carefully, that's what you can do, okay? And then we can start going crazy. Let's copy it again, but when you copy it, make absolutely sure you just go down 1, okay? Why didn't that increase? Okay, I guess it took a little while. Okay, and now we can copy both of them, but let's insert, let's insert a whole, come on, we got to do one more thing. I'm going to put, we're going to want to make a sum of the debt issue. I'll put, and we're going to use this to do a sum if again. The accrued interest, and repayment. Okay, and now let's put that in these ones. Excuse me for forgetting to do that. And it's changing a little bit, but so what? Okay, and now, okay. I'm just pressing F4. I think it's gonna, pressing F4 will add a zillion lines. I could have just deleted the graph, actually, couldn't I have? But now, let's copy these two. Come on. Control C, and not, of course, the first one because that has the fixed number in. And then do I have to press Shift F9 again or something? So we've got the other loans, and then let's copy all of these loans all the way. Okay, and we'll have a bunch more. Control C, and we can put all of our little bankers acceptance loans in here, and that's the way I understood it worked. And it might be even going a little slow. Then you say, oh no, the model's heavy, and shut up about that, please. And now let's okay, fine, one more. We've got 9, and then if we copy them all, we'll have about 18 or something, right? We'll double them each time. It's kind of like a compounding, isn't it? Okay, Control C, and then let's go down here and Control V. Okay, and oh, I suppose I gotta make this a tiny little bit wider. Okay, and now if I want to sum across, so it's not that big a deal to do it all daily. Okay, and if I sum across here, let's get the debt issue, the accrued repayment, and the debt repayment. So let's just go over here and put it there, and up here put equal SUMIF. And the way we do the SUMIF, it's a little bit trickier. I was just going to get it wrong. Take this column, and when this column equals this one, yes, then we sum across this column, right? And I don't think we even have to worry about a circular reference. If we might, okay, and we're going to have to lock in this column, and we're going to and this is G, right? We're going to lock in this column and lock in the $sign on the G, okay? Let's do that. Okay, and let's do that. Okay, and let's go down here, and then Shift Control R. And let's see. Let's press Shift Control V for Victor. Oh shoot! It didn't work. Is it just the sum that it didn't like? Oh, because of this. Okay, we can't do something with the SUMIF. I'm going to leave it out. Okay, and let's see, kind of get the Shift Control W, and maybe just so we can see how it's really working, instead of doing the rest of it, let's just put it in our monthly statement. So let's put our draws and our repayment and our interest. And then you can do all sorts of things. Maybe you can see which bank is charging more interest. I don't know why you wouldn't just look at the interest rate, but I was told, okay, you can't quite do that. And remember, what we did is we go to our daily model, and we're not afraid to do things daily. Down here, I'll press F4 this time, and then let's go to our monthly model and press the end of the month and press F4 a couple of times, and then we'll go to our down to the bottom and get our total. Okay, and then we don't press F4 there. Uh-oh. Shoot. Uh-oh. Shoot. Just let me, I'm going to have to, what happened here? Okay, we probably have a value. Okay, it seems that I had a couple of errors. First, when I did this SUMIF, it was just fine, but I put the $sign in the wrong place. And then, so we just copied it down. That all worked with the SUMIF. It shows you SUMIF and lookup, you can do everything again. Then I put the total here. It didn't work when I put it here. And then I don't even know what mistake I made with the draws and the repayments. And now, okay, because I was like Napoleon saying, dress me slowly, I'm in a hurry. F4. Okay, I forgot to Shift Control R, and then we can kind of see, here's the loan balance, and here's how what the interest is, I think, and then here's what the repayment is. And it's just showing you some Excel stuff. I think we better do one thing that's really very important. Okay, let's make it a little bit wider, and then let's Shift Control Alt C. Please work. And then let's see if it works with all those days and all those flags and everything else. Okay, please work. And then I'm going to switch off the video. Okay, and I'm going to make a bunch of much more theoretical videos because I'm going to tell you about a horrible experience I had with a lawyer in the US. Oh my gosh, is that different? Okay. Not my own lawyer. I didn't go to jail or anything. A lawyer on a expert testimony. It's taking a long time. No, let's not exit. Because it's just taking a long time because we have all those long columns and rows, and we're getting down to put the row, and then of course you can take that generic macro and look at it. Now there's a file called explode that used to really show you how to do things. So okay, good. And why don't we do this? Let's go, because really nothing was, this first year was almost to do nothing. So I'm going to take this whole year, okay, and I have no idea where I'm going to put this file. I'm going to put it somewhere on the website. How about this? Shift alternate forward right arrow, and then let's put a minus, and then we can start to see kind of when the debt was issued and when it was repaid, and get a sum. And it didn't take that long, but you can really see what's going on, and then do some better sensitivity analysis for your Treasury department. Okay, and that's it. So I'm going to save this as Treasury example complete. Okay. Let's turn off this video.